You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We're here once again. Today we have an awesome show lined up for you today. We're going to talk to our special guest, Lieutenant Anthony Almojera, and his amazing new book, Riding the Lightning, a year in the life of a New York City paramedic. I'm going to say, how you doing, sir, and thanks for being here today.
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. Doing the best we can.
Tell us about your book.
So for years, I thought I was writing down stories because I thought it would be interesting to document how people got into the work of becoming paramedics and EMTs. You know, I started talking to people I was working with, and we all have such similar backgrounds. You know, a lot of backgrounds based in some type of emotional or physical or psychological trauma, or a rough upbringing. Which that can go two ways. Obviously, you can take that upbringing and repeat those behaviors, or it sometimes triggers an empathetic response where, you realize some of the suffering you may have had and you want to try and go help people. And you don't realize consciously why you go on these jobs where somebody jumped out of a building or somebody was shot or you're delivering a baby, and for some reason your heart rate drops and you can breathe slowly and you're as cool as the other side of the pillow. And so for years, I started to put stories together, not only of my own upbringing, but other people around me. And I was trying to sit there and float that into a story of a memoir. And what the pandemic did was it made us realize that no matter how much training we've had, not only becoming paramedics, but life training, we came up against something that none of us really were able to navigate successfully, I should say. We did the best we could, obviously, but it took a heavy toll on us emotionally and physically. 10 members of the FDNY EMS have died of COVID. In the last 2 years, I've had another 8 members commit suicide. I've had my own suicidal ideations. So when I started writing the book, obviously some of that hadn't happened yet, but the pandemic allowed me to put that book into a time frame where I would float the stories in and out with this overarching thing of the pandemic that allowed, that kept a pace of the book where, hey, there's this thing that's happening that, we're building up to it.
And with your book, Riding the Lightning, it's also, like we discussed months ago, taking an inside look in New York City's most critical public service. What's one thing that you hope they understand after reading just your personal journey? Well,
I hope what they read and take away from it is there's so many things that, even though we work such a crazy job, the characters in the book, myself included, we're all human, right? And there's so many things I think that they can relate to. That, oh, that happened to me, or I can relate to that. And what I want them to take away is that when they look at the ambulance flying down the street in their towns with the lights and sirens blaring, that those are two human beings in there, right, who have all these things that they bring to the table from their own personal lives, but also are now in the process of trying to deal with a human being who's critically injured or emotionally in some type of state, and they're trying to navigate all that and the toll it takes on them. I hope people look at EMS going forward where we say, as a society, we want them to be fully funded, fully staffed, the same pay and benefits as cops and firefighters. They shouldn't have to work 2 or 3 jobs. When you're a paramedic or an EMT, it should be your only job. Unfortunately, I still work with people who drive Uber, who stock shelves. I have a guy I work with who stocks shelves at a supermarket. You're doing EMS, 911 calls for 40, 50 hours a week with overtime, and then you got to go put soup in aisle 9. It shouldn't be that way. So I hope people take away the humanity of the book, relate to it, and then, want to have change happen.
Once again, I want to say thank you, Anthony, for just sharing your story and also your experience in talking about your book today, Riding the Lightning. I want to wish you the very best. Thank you for taking time talking to us today, sir.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you. I know people down in Texas are struggling with a lot of things happening at the moment, the shootings and whatnot, and I wish everybody the best down there. Thank you for having me on.
I Am Refocused Radio is brought to you by Foo 4 Star and Holy Crab. Foo 4 Star is a family-owned Asian restaurant in San Antonio, Texas. We have been a local favorite for Asian cuisine for over 10 years. With nothing but full smiles and fast service, you'll be leaving satisfied. Come on in for some authentic Vietnamese food. Holy Crab is one-of-a-kind Cajun Creole-style seafood restaurant located in Universal City, Texas. We offer traditional seafood items as well as chicken and steak. We also offer seafood boils. Come give us a try. You won't be disappointed. You can find these two eateries in Universal City, Texas at 2921 Pat Booker Road.